Hey guys, welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. In this episode, you are going to see Mitchell Orval how you've never seen him before. He talks his developing his mindset, getting away from drugs, alcohol abuse, building a better relationship with his partner. He talks about becoming a father. He talks about things in a way that you've never heard him speak before. I really hope that you get as much from this as I did. Enjoy the episode.
What we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Mate, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I think the best place for us to start is like in your full journey, mate, because your full journey has been such a, not only an emotional roller coaster, but like the learnings that have gone on in your development from a family standpoint and everything that you've gone through is just has blown my mind, and I've seen that transformation happen on a personal level since you've been in the Gold Coast, and then obviously on social media before I even met you. When we go back to where it all started, it just started for you on social media just by posting like funny videos, didn't it?
Yeah, so the journey started around just at the end of my high school period. Me and my brother started a Facebook page called Angry Dad, which was just prank videos of us pranking our dad. Like, we never thought anything of it. I mean, when we started, I was just uploading them to my own Facebook page, these funny videos, and I started getting like heaps of random people add me, commenting, like all that shit, and I was like, this is like a bit weird. And I remember one of the kids at my school at the time was like, you should just make a page and post it to that page so people will just like the page instead of adding you, because it was like a bit annoying.
Yeah, because
I was like,
you can only have like I think it was like 3,000 friends.
5,000 friends back then.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh, well, I don't want to like accept all this anyway, but people wanted to watch it, and like that people, like I was like, oh, okay. So I made a page, and I remember I was like, what can I call it? And I remember the Simpsons episode where Bart pranks Homer, and it was Angry Dad, and I was like, I'm just going to call it Angry Dad. And I just wrote Angry Dad, pressed it, and then that was how it really started.
And so when you started this Facebook page, was it instant traction with it, or was it like a proper slow burner, or was it?
No, it was like almost immediate.
And that was predicated, I suppose, when this was back in, what year was this?
I would say 2014.
So 2014, so you're right on the cusp of like the last wave of organic on Facebook pages, really. So you could actually blow it up from there.
It blew up completely organically. Still to this day, we've never boosted a post or paid in advertising or anything.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So like, did your dad, like when you first started pranking him and doing all these funny videos, did he know that these were getting put on social media? Or?
So that was, it feels weird thinking about this time now, but that was the time where parents didn't really have Facebook. You know how there was every parent has Facebook, and it's you know, there's like almost your parents section of Facebook where they all comment on each other's stuff, and they're like, oh, say hi to the kids, all that. You know, there's all that stuff wasn't really on Facebook. It was almost like taboo to see an adult on Facebook, or if your mum or dad had Facebook, it was like, why are you on Facebook? Like, that's like for kids sort of thing. You know what I mean? Remember when it was like you were. And then that was like when that started, that was when parents didn't really know anything about Facebook. And then we'll put them up. Dad knew we were putting them online, but he didn't realise to the degree of what was actually happening until people started recognising him in the street. He was getting brought up at his work, all that sort of stuff.
So when was the first time you remember your dad coming home to you and saying, Mitchell, what have you done with this? Because someone said to me in the street, they called me Angry Dad.
It was, we put up a video of him rocking out to Will Sparks' song in the car. And that was probably after that, I think that had maybe like 500,000 views or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like it started to get like people knew it was like a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like a one-off video or two-off. It was like, because we were pretty consistent back then, because one, it was a lot more organic and natural, and it was easier to get him because we didn't necessarily have to prank him at the start. It was just showing who he was, like his reactions, and he was very reactive and all that stuff. So small things would work and stuff, but by the end of it, obviously we had to be pretty clever with how we got him, because he knew what was going on. Like he knew everything was going online, and he knew that like to watch his back. Whereas we had a good like 1 or 2 years of just being able to pump out whatever we wanted and get away with it.
Yeah, because I can't. I've seen so many different videos of you pranking him, but there's been ones where he comes around the corner and you just shout in his face, and there's ones where you hit him with shit and loads of stuff, and he just runs after you, going, Mitchell.
Yeah, they always will be my favorite sort of videos because it's just real natural.
Yeah, because those raw days when you the days that you're talking about, to me, are the days that is gold. That never goes away. That lives on. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like the highlight.
It's the foundation of everything.
That's 100%. It is 100%. So obviously you recorded all them videos. You started to get a little bit of traction. He's getting recognised in the street. Your family's getting recognised in the street. When did you think to yourself, Jesus, I've got something here? You know what I mean? I've got something.
When we started getting hit up by management to be managed, and we were like, what for? Yeah. Because just remember, it sounds weird talking like this now, but that was before Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff sort of established that influencer marketing was really fresh at the time. You know what I mean? You heard of people making some money from it, but there wasn't influencers or groups of people that you knew made money online by having followings, and that was it was a known thing. It was very much at the start of all that, so we didn't really understand that there was all this money to be made, so we probably didn't commercialize Angry Dad as a brand as well as we could have or should have. For starters, there was no monetization on Facebook back then. So Facebook. So we never made $1 off Facebook views, which we had 2, 3, I think maybe 300, 400 million views.
Yeah, that's mad.
So if you do the maths on that, we would have now.
You would have earned a fortune off that.
Yeah, 300-400 grand, I reckon. If not, maybe more. I don't know.
Probably a lot more than that. I reckon. Probably a lot more than that.
So we knew we had a good thing, and we knew purely for the fact that everything that we did with it was viral.
Yeah.
So we always knew that our product was good and we were onto something, but we didn't realize the commercial degree straight away. I mean, we made most of the money we made doing it was either branded content. Sometimes we'd get, for example, Warner Studios would paid us to use the Chucky doll from Child's Play 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they flew us the real doll from set in the movie, and we got to prank Dad with that. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
it's
epic.
That was about as commercial as the brand got, and we did nightclub tours and all that sort of stuff. PAs
and all that stuff. Yeah.
But we basically straight away we knew we had something in terms of a viral platform with infinite potential. We knew that from the start, because I think we had 200,000 page likes within literally the first month or two.
That is some crazy growth. Considering you were two lads at school at the time.
Yeah. Oh, my brother wasn't, but I just finished school. So I remember I stepped out of high school, went to schoolies in Fiji. The first time someone recognised me from the thing was someone in school. He was like, "Hey, are you the guy that posts his dad?" I was like, "Yeah." And I think, "Oh, that's pretty fucking cool."
Yeah.
So that was the first time someone recognised me from it, was schoolies. So that shows how quick after school. And then I worked at Fitness First, a gym, for probably 2 or 3 months, and then after that I haven't worked a job since.
Personal training?
Selling memberships. Yeah.
Selling memberships. Yeah. So was that the first and the last job you had?
Yeah.
So how long were you in it?
3 months, maybe.
3 months,
maybe a bit less.
And were you a good sales guy?
Yeah.
Killed it. But when you obviously you come back from schoolies and all this stuff's gone on, starting to get recognised now. Is at this point were you dating Chloe or
no?
So you've not met her yet?
No. So how I found out about Chloe. So this is actually quite a funny story. I was at so I started running nightclubs from 8, basically after I finished that. Obviously I started getting a small following, and what do people you start to get a bit of influence, you start to get a bit of pull. What better place for someone who's just finished high school, wants to, party, work in nightclubs, drink for free, bring people through, get paid for it. So I went straight into that nightclub role. We ended up getting, Kurt Coleman?
Yeah.
We ended up getting him at our nightclub as an appearance or whatever that was, and he posted a photo with me. And Chloe followed me after that.
Oh, straight away, yeah.
And I was actually talking to a girl at the time, and she messaged me, said, "Holy fuck, Chloe Zepp just followed you." I was like, "Who the fuck is Chloe Zepp?" And then I like clicked her. I was like, oh, she's mad. I was like, thanks for telling me. And then, I remember just following her back, and then we spoke like bits and pieces online.
So just so I understand this, and so the audience understand this, Chloe had actually, at that time, she had really built a following too?
Yeah, so she'd built a following on Instagram, and I had my following on Instagram wasn't like huge at the time, probably like 30K or something like that. But my Facebook page by that time would have been, just under shy of 1 million, I reckon.
So who slid in whose DMs?
She followed me first, and then I think... Oh, no, she messaged me, yeah. She messaged me saying, fuck off, Mitchell, I think, or something like that. And then I was like, messaged her back. Then we spoke for little bits and pieces in and out, and then I started talking to this girl again that I was seeing at the time.
Yeah.
And so I completely stopped talking to her. So that's still, to this day, one of the reasons why, like, she trusted me and stuff, was because even when we were talking, I stopped talking to her when I started talking to the other girl again. And then I started briefly chatting to her again. And then what happened was I was actually in Hawaii at the time for my cousin, and my cousin's like had his Bucks party. Back in Melbourne, and I was only 18 at the time, I think. And he said, like, you got to come to the Bucks. I was like, well, I'm in Hawaii with my family. I can't get there. And I remember he messaged me back a screenshot of like a plane ticket, and he goes, I've booked your flight.
Wow.
He's like, tomorrow morning you're coming to the Bucks. And I was like, fuck. All right, but there was a stopover. I flew from Hawaii to Brisbane to Melbourne, and Chloe lived in Brisbane, and she was flying out that day from Brisbane to Sydney. So I got to the airport, and I saw her on her Snapchat story, like she was at the airport. I was like, hey, are you at Brisbane Airport? And she was like, yeah, I am. So I was like, well, I got to stop over here. And she was like, my flight actually was delayed. And I was like, well, do you want to have lunch? So we ended up catching up and having sushi at the airport.
So
and then
you full on just grafted a date at the airport out of nothing.
We had a date at the airport out of nothing. And then, like, it was really weird because I'd never dated either. Like, I had a girlfriend I'd spoken to. Like, I had a girlfriend in high school. I'd spoken to girls, but I was never anyone. Never went on dates. Never did shit like that. I don't know. It's never that.
Just on like the casual scene, because you were a young lad, do it, vibing what you was doing. You know
exactly. I just sort of I wasn't really ever in the mind frame of I want a girlfriend either. If it happened, I was like whatever. But I'd never like intentionally went out looking to date girls, take them on dates and stuff like that. So after I caught up with her for that hour at the airport, I remember thinking like, fuck, that went really well. Like, I enjoyed that.
This chick's got something.
I was like, she was like, that was like, I felt comfortable. I barely know her and stuff like that. And I actually invited her to come stay at my family house in Melbourne. And she came. So like a week later, after only meeting for 1 hour, she flew down to Melbourne and stayed at my family house for like 7 days.
Did you prank her?
Nah.
Because I know you've pranked her a few times since you've been in the Gold Coast. But
yeah, we pranked a bit, but not. That was like I was still fucking too nervous.
Yeah, for sure. So when after that week you spent that week with her, did you know then and there that was your woman?
No, I wouldn't say that. It took. I'm someone like I'd say. Honestly, it took me like almost even a few years to know. Like I knew that I liked her. I knew that we were like part, but I'm not someone who like, was head over heels and just knew this is like what I want to spend my life with. It was like, because I was also going through a lot at the time too. So I'm learning what it's like to have a girlfriend. I'm learning what it's like, it's fresh for me as well. So it took me a while to.
And your DMs must be getting lit up at this point. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, well, everyone's pretty respectful because everyone loves Chloe more than me. You know what I mean? All girls love Chloe. So I never get any of that shit. Like no girls would step on like Chloe. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
She's got a really nice. Because who wants to hurt Chloe? Like you know what I mean? It's not like.
I just meant in the early. I mean, not so much days, now. Yeah. I mean, early days. You're not telling me that there weren't a few little chances on the old show.
Yeah, I'm tipping there. Obviously, there would have been, but it was right timing for everything, I believe.
And I'm pleased that you said that it didn't happen overnight, because I think too many people these days think that. These things are all meant to happen overnight. The success is meant to happen overnight. The relationship is meant to happen overnight. You're meant to get yourself together overnight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure on that.
Especially a relationship, and at a young age when you're both finding yourself, how can everything be perfect and how can it be overnight when you don't even know each other? Fucking hell, like when you start dating, you're not even yourself for the first 6 months. You're pretending to be this like perfect, like handsome, smells amazing, always like, you know what I mean? Like from the start, you're not like, it's not as authentic as what, like no one walks into a relationship first day dating and they're just themselves. Like I don't like you're covering a bit of stuff. Like,
it's the becoming.
Exactly.
The start of a relationship is the becoming yourself. You know what I mean? That's when you start to understand yourself a little bit more, because you personally, and same with me as well. Like we've not been in like before that time, and I'm not in a relationship now, but before I had my first relationship, you're not in that. You've never been in a relationship before. Like you've not in that depth I'm talking about. No. So you're learning so much about yourself. Do you know what
Especially
I mean?
like Chloe's a massive mirror for me, and I'm a massive mirror for Chloe. We really like show each other sides of ourselves that we don't like, and that's like why I think we've worked and been able to build through everything we have, because we really like mirror each other's like problems.
Is it hard going through all that when the public eye is on you from day one?
Yes and no. I think the reason yes is because you sort of, to a degree, have to be transparent. I mean, our job is to influence people and to take people along with our journeys and hopefully be good role models, inspire people, just make good of your following. With that, obviously we commercialize our following, so we sell to people and we do all that. So to a degree, you owe them that sort of transparency. I mean, you can't just serve them with, branded deals, ads, the good parts of your life, and then just completely shut off the bad and pretend it doesn't exist, because it's not realistic.
Yeah.
So that's where like the no is like, you have to share with everyone, which can be hard, but that's where it can also be good, because with that, if you do it in the right way, you get support too.
Yeah, and also it allows you to really grow through it, like in a public forum, and get outside. I mean, some people would just, no matter what you do, some people just send negativity.
Yeah.
But it's like, even when you were going through some of your demons, which we're going to talk about later on in the podcast, I'm sure people throughout these times reach out to you and put like kind of like a social arm around you and say, do you know what, you've done well there, mate, congratulations. Like,
yeah, well, I think that comes with being vulnerable and being like authentic online too. Like if you're someone who's always perfect online and stuff like that, people start to just not like you. Like who wants to, like, you feel bad about yourself if you follow and look at just people who seem to have everything sorted out 24/7. Everything seems to be like clockwork. Everything's perfect. There's no ups. I mean, there's no downs. It all seems to be ups. And you're like, well, why can't I live like this? And it's not sustainable. And you're like, well, fuck them. Like you end up resenting them for it. So it's like, I feel like if you the more you're just transparent and bring everyone through like just the real shit that everyone else goes through, people can relate. And when people can relate, they're going to like you.
Yeah. I think that too many people don't understand how unique a being they are. Like they try and adapt into something that they seem like the world wants of them, when all the world wants of you is you to just be yourself, and then you'll attract the people that you're meant to attract into your life.
Well, you see it far too often, even with like, people that get followings. Like they get followings and then they try to tailor themselves into this person that they think everyone wants to see, but it's like, hold on. The reason everyone followed you from the beginning is because they liked who you were before you didn't have the following.
Yeah.
Take away the following, be yourself, and that's what people like. So, like, I reckon that's where people get caught in the transition period of, like, making it and not making it. When they're making it and they're on the rise, they go off to be someone who they think everyone wants them to be, but it's not true. People are there to follow them because they like them.
Did you ever get taken down that path yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Give me some insights into how that happened and how it came about, when you realised it.
I used to wear fake jewelry, fake clothes, fake everything, like fake Rolexes, all that stuff, thinking like, that's what people wanted to see me, make it, like live the life, like I always pretended I had more money than I had, more things than I had, everything, because I thought that's what people liked.
Yeah.
It's not true. It just makes people feel bad about themselves.
Yeah, and then obviously that's building a disconnect between you and your audience that have followed you from day dot.
Exactly. And then I'm stuck in a rat race because I'm forever trying to be someone who I'm not. So every day it's exhausting waking up. It's like, oh, you've got to try, look like you've got this awesome lifestyle when in reality you didn't.
When you first started to get these big checks on the back of, you know, having a following and started to get these brand deals, did obviously learning about dealing with money was something that you know, they don't teach you at school. Is that something that you infinitely struggled with?
Massively. So that was, I didn't pay tax for my first 2.5 years. Didn't know what just didn't know anything about it. Literally didn't pay any GST, any of my BAS statements, and paid no tax.
Right.
So at the start, maybe the end of last year or start of this year, that was part of my like sobriety goal and stuff. I was like, fuck, I've got to sort out my tax, got to sort out everything. So got myself an accountant, booker, everything like that. He does everything for me. His name's Julian from Morrow Accounting, and he saved me big time. But that was something that, like, you know, that was one of the things that I reckon was clearly an issue for me upstairs in my head, because once I relieved that issue, I felt like 1,000,000 kilos lifted off my shoulder.
Yeah, because obviously when you, even me now in my business, if I don't pay a GST statement on time or this, that, and the other, and I'm talking about 1 or 2 days later, it starts to give me like, you know, and people, and my accountant's like, oh, you don't need to pay that till next year. I'm like, man, I want to get this off my chest, you know. I don't want to owe these, I don't want to think about it. I just want to remove that from that. Is that how you kind of felt with it?
Well, I even remember when I got like the bill of what it costed, I felt like it was huge, but I felt so good about knowing. Like, I know that's what it is. Now I've got a goal to work towards. I know what I have to pay.
Yeah.
But not knowing, and always like, I used to get fucking letters in the mail, and I'd see like the ASIC statement, and I just wouldn't open them because I was just running from it. I always just ran from everything. I didn't want to face it. I wasn't ready to do it. I didn't want to look. Didn't want to think about it. And then that's why I was always trying to escape.
Was that something that made you like leave Melbourne and stuff like that as well? Was that something you were running away from, or? No,
not really. That was an issue that I could tackle pretty straight away and head on. Like, I was okay with doing that. It was never my thing was more so around, like, with financially, it was more so around I could never save. The reason I could never save was because I did a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of money on drugs. That's why I could never save.
When did you start knowing that drugs and alcohol were a problem to you?
When I was not using them recreationally, I wasn't using them to have fun anymore. I was using them to escape and to be by myself.
Do you know roughly when you started to feel like that?
It would have been from probably July to December last year.
Yeah.
From that was like my biggest like spiral out of control period, where it was like I was literally trying to alienate myself on my own to do drugs.
What, away from Chloe and away from your actual friends?
Even away from my friends.
Did you obviously going through this, and obviously we're going to talk about this, but like, did you identify the issue that was driving you to feel that way?
Not at the time. Now, obviously, I know all of my triggers, all of my issues, but at the time, I just would justify it to myself by saying, I can do what I want. Like, why can't I?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I was stubborn in my ways, and I thought, like, it's not a problem. Everyone does it. Like, that's just how I got it through. But I always thought still to that day, like, even in my mind frame then, I thought I was having fun. That was the trick. I tricked myself into thinking I was having fun.
Yeah,
but I wasn't.
Because there's a very big, like, let's send it culture in Australia.
Huge.
Like, you know, send it on like, Sunday. Nowhere else in the world that I've been do they party harder on a Sunday than in Australia, knowing full well that they're going to work in the Monday morning. Do you know what I mean? Most people, let's just talk about most people. Most people are going to work on a Monday morning. They've got jobs. They're sending it on a Sunday till like 10, 11 at night after day drinking from 1 p.m. You know what I mean? To me, that sounds pretty... I'll go out on a Sunday, but like, it sounds pretty wild that people can drink and then start work at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, and even be compass mentis in what's going on.
But they're not. They just get... A lot of people will just, you know, coast through that Monday to Friday to live for the weekend and do it all again. Which, look, I can't blame... Like, I don't know what... I've been through all this and I've changed my mindset. I've done it all, but I don't know if I would have done that if I worked on Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and slogged away during the week and then looked forward to the weekends. Like, I don't know if I would have made those changes. Like, I can't say, like, what I did, everyone should do it, because it's like I don't know. I've never been in their shoes, and I've never been in that situation of doing it. But what I can do is I can relate to needing to escape You know what I mean? That's why they do it on the weekends, because Monday to Friday they're not happy with what they do, their job and, you know, their lifestyle. So on the weekend, that's where they have their fun. They're escaping the thought of Monday to Friday, and then they wake up Monday and do it all again. I can understand and I can relate, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
But I was just escaping myself.
But you must have been feeling similar feelings within yourself as if you had a 9-to-5 job, because obviously it's not the same in terms of like you didn't have a job, but you must have wanted to escape what you were doing to some degree.
Mine was 24/7 because I was trying to escape myself. I knew what part I was in the world. I knew where I stood with everything, and I didn't like it. So I was trying to get away from that. Instead of, you know, facing every problem that was in my way to then build forward, I was just using drugs and alcohol to get away from it.
What were some of the issues with that you were using drugs and alcohol to get away from at that particular time?
So a lot of it was like I was overweight. I was about 104 kilos.
Yeah.
I had a massive tax bill. I had no savings. I'd created this facade online that I had everything, but I didn't.
Yeah.
My relationship was in trouble.
Yeah.
And like now looking back on it, I was very depressed, and I was not happy with myself and what I was doing. I had no purpose. I had no vision. I had no drive.
I think a lot of people go through similar situations like you've been through because they don't know where they're going. I think everything that you've said there all relates to not having a clear vision of where you're actually going in life at that particular time.
Of course, well, you never get in the car and just drive somewhere.
Yeah,
You always know where you're going.
Yeah. And you just wanted that clarity and focus.
Yeah.
When did you see that starting to... when you were in there, you know, getting obliterated on drugs and alcohol, did you ever look from outside from that moment while you were intoxicated and see the effect it was having on your family and your girlfriend at the time?
Yep. So my partner hated that I like the frequency and what I was doing, everything like that. She told me I can't change you, but if things don't change, like that's up to you. But I'm, you know, not going to be here for this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's your decision, like what you want to do. And I remember I was off and on a bit. You know, I'd give up. And then I'd start again, I'd give up, I'd start again. And then I remember I had a friend's birthday. This was December 13th.
Yeah.
Had a friend's birthday. We were living in Brisbane at the time at Chloe's mum's. And I was going up to the coast for the weekend for the birthday. And Chloe was like, Chloe wasn't coming. And she said, go up for the weekend, have fun, like, you know, enjoy yourself. I don't care what you do. Just, you know, have fun and, you know, just keep your phone on you, you know, answer my calls and stuff like that, and you know, enjoy yourself. And I was like, I remember thinking at the time, like, fuck that, like,
she's a good woman.
She's been really good about this. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, go have fun, and you know you're going to cop it when you get back on Monday. You know what I mean? It was just enjoy yourself, like, you know, there's no stress. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing by this because, you know, she's given me a bit of rope, and I'm not going to, you know, take too much. I'm going to, you know, get pissed.
I owe her the respect.
Yeah, I owe this respect of what she's shown me. So I set out with those full intentions and did not come close to that. I remember no one could find me from like 10 o'clock. My phone was dead. I was fucking off my face, and they ended up finding me at some random 60th birthday dinner or something like that, and I was standing at the table talking shit with all these people I didn't know just off my face. And then Chloe's sister put like the FaceTime onto Chloe because she found me and she was like, what are you doing? And like I looked at Chloe and she was just sitting at home crying, and I was like, fuck, I fucked up again, hey.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went back to Chloe's sister's house, fell asleep, woke up in the morning, and I was like, I'm not going to be doing that again.
Did you ever feel like you wanted to cry within yourself because you'd hurt this woman so much?
Yeah, of course, because it's like, but what was tough to translate was like, I was doing this to her, but what I didn't mean to do it to her, I was doing it to myself.
Yeah.
So I was self-sabotaging within, and in effect, it affected her, but that was never my intention. And it was really hard to communicate that to her. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt you, I was trying to hurt me. That was the toughest thing for her to sort of understand.
Yeah.
It was all very personal. It was nothing to do with anyone else. What I was going through was what I was going through, and that was my coping mechanism. It's nothing to do with her. I wasn't trying to damage our relationship or hurt her. I was just going through it myself.
When you got back from that situation, you arrived back, you're intoxicated, you get back home, did she just then and there give you an ultimatum and say, look, this has got to stop, Mitchell?
She never gave me an ultimatum. It was just a decision I made for our future. She never said once, like, if you don't stop drinking, we're going to split up. She never said that. It was just like, you just do what you want to do. I'm not going to stop you doing what you want to do, but you know what I like and what I want to do. And if it doesn't like fall in place with, you know, and align with my values and morals and how I want to live my life, well, then we're just not going to work out.
So when you woke up that morning after that night, and you're looking at things with a bit of a fresh pair of eyes, did you consciously make the decision then and there that this has to change?
Yep.
Was that the point in your life when you thought, fuck this?
And that was it. That was the day. From that date, I haven't.
And you've never drank again since?
I haven't drunk or done drugs since.
Do you know what? Fair play. I want to shake your hand on the podcast, mate. Like I fucking resonate with that wholeheartedly. I'm telling you.
But it's funny because, like, currently now I'm at this situation where it's about, like, because I've started seeing a psychologist.
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about this later in the podcast, maybe?
Mate, just flow.
Yeah. So I started seeing a psych recently because, like, if anyone, like, with my journey, like, in sobriety, like, what I learned was I was doing drugs and alcohol to escape, right? That was what I found out. So for me, it was, you know, cut it all out. And I went from here, which was all the time, all the way over to the right-hand side, which was never again. But what I'm currently, like, going through at the moment is, like, I wrote down at the start of the year when all this happened, like, 7 things that I wanted to change in my life.
Yep.
And I ticked off all 7.
That's powerful.
And this wasn't like a list I read every day to be like, I need to do it. It was like I wrote it down and I come back to it after 9-10 months and I looked at it and I was like, holy fuck. I did it all.
That's the power of setting goals.
Yep.
And having clear, defined things that you will and won't accept in your life.
Exactly.
And I think you put that in place that day when you woke up that morning.
Yep. And with that, though, now it's like, because I've ticked all those off, what I'm currently going through is there's nothing left to escape. So for me, being so scared of drugs and alcohol now, it doesn't make sense to me logically. In my logical way of thinking is, it's like, so what I've been talking to my psych about is, like, in life, you can't always be over here or you can't always be here. It's like a pendulum swim. You've got to find like an even ground in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm currently talking to my psych about, like, potentially reintroducing alcohol into my life again and seeing if I can have a healthy relationship with it. But it's still not a decision I've made yet. So,
and you know what? It's one of them decisions that, like it felt right for you that day when you woke up to stop drinking. You'll get the same feeling the day that you're ready to have one drink and just leave it at one drink, or 2 drinks and leave it at 2 drinks. You'll have the same feeling that day, and until you have that feeling and have that internal conversation with yourself, and nobody knows when that time will be or when that time is right for you, but you will get to a point where that conversation will happen, and when that happens, you'll be able to go and do as you said and just have that one drink and have that thing. That'll just come as a natural development. Just going back, because obviously there's a long road to obviously that's sobriety. So you've obviously, from that day you decided you would quit drinking. After you'd quit drinking, what were the other steps you put in place to try and rejuvenate and reevaluate your life from that point?
It was more so I enforced a lot of discipline. So is that what you're saying? Like, what what were the tools that I used?
Yeah, and the stages that you went through. Because I know that there's people that listen to this podcast that will be just like you. That they've got the business, they've got the money, they've got the beautiful wife, they've got all this great stuff. It looks great. But then inside they're probably like, fucking hell, like, am I enough? Am I this? Am I that? Which is some of the things that you said you were feeling. And I just want to give people a bit of a roadmap for how you changed your life from saying that day, I'm waking up, I'm going to be sober, and I want to show that journey of what you've been through to get there. Because there's like 7 or 8 months of real hard yakka that's gone into that to deliver it. You know what I mean?
Well, the first probably 2 months was like, I put no pressure on myself on what to do. Like, what I said, my only goal every day was don't drink, don't do drugs. That was like for the first at least 2 months. I didn't care. I didn't set any strict rules around dieting or training or anything. It was just do what you need to do, get a few months under your belt.
Yeah.
And go from there. So for the first 2 months, I reckon I would have put on like maybe 5 or 6 kilos. I reckon of over like from eating and
because you're eating to replace.
What I was doing was I'll stay instead of going out on weekends. I'd have like pizza night, movie night, snack night, all that stuff at home just to like to fill in time and break in like I had the same habit of going out and doing the same thing every weekend for fucking 4 or 5 years. So it's like I got to break that somehow, and I wasn't going to be hard on myself how I broke it. It was just do things at your own time.
Yeah.
So the first probably 2 months I did, not much. And then obviously once I got a few months under my belt, I started to introduce training, and then, I started to get real addicted to that because everything I got an addictive personality. So it's just...
Mate, you're speaking to the king of addictive personalities.
It's just about channeling. You got to just channel your addiction. So I would just channel it into the right places. So I ended up, doing my program with Will, channeled it into that, lost 15 kilos, training, like... dieting, just strict as hell.
And mate, I saw you go through a lot of that process, and it was good to see you in such a good, strong place mentally, not just physically. Do you know what I mean? I saw the development of your mindset.
Get the mind right, and your body follows anyway.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to understand that it all starts with, not just thinking positively, but just valuing yourself.
I still believe, like, when you go to the gym, if you're going, oh, I got to go to the gym, like, fuck, I got gym after this, something like that. Well, your mind's not right yet. Yeah. Once you got your mind right, you go, I got to go train. I get to go train. I got to go get my release. So
I get so excited.
You live for it. You love it. It becomes part of your routine. You can't miss it. So that's why I find, like, when I hear people say, like, I just hate going to the gym, so I'm like, well, great. Don't worry about the gym yet. What can you do for yourself mentally to make you feel like going to the gym in a month maybe, or whatever it is that, string together a good month of, eating well, going for a nice cruisy walk along the beach, anything you can, just build a few days of consistency and some momentum until you actually start smashing your days. You're ticking off the small things that you set out to do every day. And then I guarantee you, once you get to the point where you're not going to hate gym, you'll start going to the gym, and then you'll do the same thing consistently, and then you'll start to love gym, and then it never becomes about having to go train. It's
a powerful thing to get your... Because habits compound both ways. Just like your habits with drugs compounded in the wrong direction, your habit with gym is compounded in the right direction for you. Your mindset's compounded in the right direction. You now use your platform on social media to motivate and to inspire others to change their mindset, to set new goals, to really value themselves, which is powerful in itself. So you've transcended you started off as a guy that used to joke and prank people, but I would even go so much to say is, yes, you've got that side to you, but there's so much more depth to you and so much more thought process that people never ever got to see, and you had to go through that journey and that down moment to be able to showcase the rising phoenix in what you're doing now.
Yep, I agree.
I just think it's a real powerful thing, and people couldn't really recognize that. Now, on this journey, you've now become a dad.
Yeah.
And I've seen, again, a massive change on the back of that. Talk to me about, the changes that have happened since becoming a dad and the pressures and all that come with that.
Well, for me, it's been like the best thing that could have happened to me, because it's just like, especially people like with addictive personalities, for me, they like to be occupied. Like, you like to be occupied. I don't really like to not have things to do or something on, even if it's something in the background. Like, I'm someone who, even if I want to go on my phone, I'll put on a movie to go on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always like to have things going on.
Yeah.
So having a kid, like, there's never a dull moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's a 24/7 thing, because even it's like they're asleep, you're watching the monitor. If, they're awake, you're playing with them. If they're crying, you're nursing. Like, it's something to always do.
Yeah.
But, like, for the first 12 weeks, I thought, like, being a parent was the best thing ever. But now it's times 10 better. Like, once he's now got a little personality. Like, I feel like I'm getting to know him. He's grabbing me, holding things, laughing. And you're like, holy shit, this is truly, like...
This is unconditional love.
This is what it's all about. Like, and I remember thinking, like, in that first 12 weeks, like, there's no way I could love him anymore. And now I'm like, holy shit, like, this, like, I was like, I'm always like, did I even love him in that first 12 weeks? Because that's how much I love him now.
Yeah. Beautiful. Do you think that like through the journey, obviously when Chloe found out that she was pregnant, were you already on that journey to becoming sober, or did you find out after?
I'm not. I think she might have been pregnant for a few weeks. It was very similar timing as that. I was basically sober the entire time she was pregnant. Maybe give or take maybe 2 or 3 weeks either side. Maybe.
I reckon that some part of you becoming a dad also had a massive impact on you deciding to take that sobriety and all that stuff. Of course.
Well, I had another thing to build towards. I remember thinking, with the mind frame I was in and what I was doing with my weeks, could I do this and be a dad? And it was like, not a fucking chance. No way. I couldn't have.
And I'm right in. I hope I'm right in thinking this, but people believe that when you go through adversity like you've been through and come through the other side, they think the journey stops. They think that's it. It's over. It's finished. He's because when you first built that social media following, they thought, oh, he's got it all, and then they saw the fall, and then they've seen the rise again, and now again they think you've come to a stop, and you're back. You're Mitchell. You're happy again. It's all good, but what are the ongoing things and the ongoing challenges now that you've decided? Because I think the problems always change. There's always more problems. So what kind of things are you now facing that you've opened up by taking on that development?
Well, it's like my foundation I set whilst, this big rise was, it's hard to follow. Like, I created this environment of like 24/7 like hunger for change, and just like go out and made something of myself, and now I've made it. Like, you don't have that same, it's like, I still train every day, I still eat really good, I do all the same things I was doing, where at the time for me was life changing, and it was exhilarating, it was thrilling, because I was seeing myself come to life. But now that's my new norm. What next? I'm now looking for that next thing to exhilarate and to go through. But it's like, and that's why I've gone to see a psych at the moment, because it's like I felt like I had all the answers when I was going through it, because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I'd wanted. I'd written it down. It was there, like, in front of me, and I knew I had to work towards it. I knew that was going to give me the best chance of having the life that I wanted. But now I've got it. So it's like, what do I do every day now moving forward to give myself that same, thrill and drive and exhilaration? And, that's what I'm currently going through at the moment. And
what have you learned from that that's going to give you that?
Well, currently what I'm learning about that is balance, healthy balance. So I think instead of being scared of everything that I've run from now, I need to learn how to, embrace it, be friends with it, and control it. Because to a degree, like, what I did was really, good, but all I essentially did was cut out the triggers and cut out everything that, made it hard to do. So, going sober, like, I stopped going to social events. I stopped hanging out with people that did drugs and drank. I just cut it out completely. So although I beat it, I just avoided it. You know what I mean? I avoided it. So with that being said, it's like, did I really fix it?
Or did you just remove yourself from the situation?
I've just removed myself from it. So now it's like, and at the end of the day, whether that's the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it, I didn't care, because I knew if I did those 7 things that I'd written down, I'd be happy, which I was. But now I've ticked off those 7 things. I've ran from it, but now I don't have the answers. I don't know what I'm walking towards next. I don't know where
Can you run me through the 7 things that are on your list then?
It was my tax, it was my relationship, it was being a dad, it was saving money to buy a house, it was a weight goal, and then there was a YouTube goal.
Yeah.
And I ticked them all.
That's great. But you know how you said, obviously, when you identified it, you were obviously going back and saying you just removed yourself from it and your triggers. What did you find out that your actual triggers truly were?
Just having the ability to escape. So I knew that when I did coke and when I drank, I could take a break from the life I was currently living. That was how I saw it. I felt like it was almost like an alter ego. I became this person who got away from all those thoughts and feelings, didn't have to worry about it. And then I almost loved the next day more though, because the next day after a massive night, I knew that I could sit at home in a dark room with movies, eat Uber Eats 4 times that day and not have to do anything. But because I was hungover, I was allowed to.
Yeah. See, so that was your way of giving yourself permission to like kind of give up on yourself for that day. The obviously identifying triggers. Have you got any like a little bit of a plan of attack for how people can start to identify these for themselves? You know what I mean? Because like so many people, obviously you've sat there and is it just a case of just being honest with yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's awareness. I think it's a massive awareness thing. Like, and even now, like I always ask myself like why I want to do something. You know what I mean? Like if I was like back in the day, like let's get fucked up, I would never be like, why do I want to get fucked up right now? I'd just be like, let's get fucked up.
Yeah.
But now I'd be like, why do I want to get fucked up right now? Do I feel like just socially having heaps of fun? And that's the real reason I want to, get fucked up. Or is there
something behind that? Yeah.
Exactly. Because that's the thing. It's like if you want to get fucked up, but it's purely because you want to go have heaps of fun with your friends.
Go do it.
Go do it. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I'm trying to come to terms with now, is that's where I feel like is my next step, is trying to find if that is ever going to be possible for me, or will I always go back to that? So I feel like that's why I can't be scared of it anymore, because it's like I knew that back then, like if I asked myself, why am I getting fucked up right now? It's 100% the reason was because I don't have much money. I don't have much to do. I feel really shit about myself. Yeah. I don't want to face everything that I know I need to face. And what better way to escape? Let's go get fucked up. Don't have to think about anything for the next 2 days, because I've got this day of getting fucked up, the next day of recovering.
And it's so, I mean, it sounds so simple when you say it that, people just got to be totally honest with themselves exactly why they're doing it. But so many people bury their head in the sand for the silliest of reasons. And
it's just fear.
We've all been guilty of it, myself included. I've buried my head in the sands about lots of stuff in the past. Me personally, from talking to you on this podcast and talking to you in real life, I personally believe that at some point in time, when the time is right for you, I think that you'll be able to have a healthy relationship with alcohol and just be socially drinking. I mean, we've got the non-alcoholic beers out on YouTube right now. I just want to clarify that, because I know there's going to be a comment on here that's going to say he's drinking a beer the whole time. He's got 2 beers, man. What's going on? But
just quietly though, if you're a non-drinker, the Great Northern Blue Marlins, are by far the best non-alcoholic beer on the market, and that's a no cap sponsor.
I'm not getting paid for that. And they don't sponsor the podcast. But if they'd like to sponsor the podcast, you're welcome to jump on. But mate, so now moving forward, what are the kind of current goals you have set in place for, and how you're going to finish 2020 and go into 2021 like banging on all cylinders?
So my current goal is around a house. So me and my partner, obviously, we're ready to buy a house. Whether we wanted to buy one that's done, but I think we've decided we're going to renovate or build.
Yeah.
So that will be a massive 2020 to 2021, goal, especially if we build or renovate. Like it'll be a big part of, our year next year.
Yeah.
But most of my goals around next year now are, I'm launching another brand with my partner called Self-Care Culture, which is a clothing brand. But I'm not going to make my goals as much next year around work and all these personal goals. I think it's going to be massively around family goals, because, the first, year of your kid's life, I want to be really present and around for that. And it's like, even now, my partner's been super busy the last 2 weeks with work, and they know. It feels weird saying it, but they know when you're occupied. They know when you're not giving them attention, and like you feel bad.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation, like nothing that we do for our jobs and for work and stuff like that is it that important that it needs to take a backseat to Artie.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is obviously my son's name. So, like, that's going to be a massive goal for us, is around.
I love the fact that you've had that conversation so early in his life, because I think so many kids get these negative connotations instilled in them before they're 8 years old, because the parents are too busy, or they don't mean to neglect it, but they're following their own purpose. But then they negate the fact that they've got this child, and they have a moral obligation to being the best parent.
Well, the way we put it was, why do we do what we do to work? Obviously, she wants to have a nice house, nice things, all that stuff for artists and us. But all artists wants is us.
Yeah.
So really, all that can take a back seat, because you can just meet his needs by being present for him. That's all he cares about and will care about for the next, 4 or 5 years. So as long as we get done what we need to get done, and it's not at the expense of how much time we can spend, as a family. And
I think the beauty of what you two have engineered as businesses and everything like that, and I think we talk about Chloe's businesses next and stuff that you're doing together. But like, the beauty of the fact of all that is the fact that at any one time, one or the other can be fully present with him.
Yeah. That's why we had kids young now. And that's why we decided to have the baby, is because we're at a very blessed point where we both work from home. We're both together all the time. We can have a baby and look after him now and get to have all those moments and years with him where it's like, it's just us with him. And we think, like, we don't know if this is going to last forever. It might not. So, like, while we can do it and do it comfortably, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. What's your involvement in Chloe's brands and obviously helping her grow them? Because obviously she's been really successful with her fitness brand, which is obviously Zep, and everything like that. Give me a bit of a background in that.
So I'm also oversee a lot of it, help just with communications and brand development, or brand management to a degree. I just help oversee the whole thing, and I come in when there's tough conversations to be had and changes to be made, and all that sort of stuff. But the way we've set up that business is it's pretty self-managing. Like, we've delegated the people in place
to ensure you've put the systems in place.
Because this is what you got to remember. It's like, Chloe's great, but she's a design. Like, her thing is style and design, and she can see trends and she can set trends. So stick to that. That's all she should have to do within the business. You know what I mean? Then you get people in place to do the rest of what they're good at. Like, there's no need for her to do the other stuff. Focus on what you're good at. Do it. Find the other people in the team. Get them to execute that, and then that's how you don't stress about running a business.
I think that's a great thing that you've identified that, because and again, I think this is a great part for you listeners out there that are listening to this, is the fact that what Mitchell's just identified there is, if you're good at something but not good at something else, delegate the stuff that you're not good at, because there's no point trying to get good at that. You may as well just really focus on the positive of what you actually are good at. If you're good at selling, then sell. If you're good at designing, then design. Do you know what I mean?
And I also understand the counter argument to that is, when you're starting off saying you want to scale as skinny as you can't hire people straight away. Do as much as you can, work as hard as you can to get it up and running. But obviously, Zep is now at a place where, it turns over good money and it has the capital to do so. Like, it wasn't like that from the very beginning. So you don't just have to hire people to do those jobs right at the start when you're trying to scale as skinny as possible until you're up and running. So there's obviously, to some degree, you're going to have to take hits where you have to. You're going to have to work on things you probably can't at the start, but you'll get to a point where, if you can get others to manage the parts you're not as good at, then...
How long has that business been running now?
I think it's 1.5 years, maybe a bit more.
That is blown up in 1.5 years.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, though, it's better to build the highly engaged following first and then launch it into that than perhaps building the brand alongside it. Is that, would you say that? Or
I'll just say, find what your audience aligns with. I mean, Chloe was... When she launched Zep, she was massively into fitness at the time. She had a Zep Fit account. She was training. She was doing all that. And, activewear fit. So build your audience. See what your audience is tailored to. And so that was like with my programs I did. Like, that was so easy to sell because it was true to me and what I'd done. For 6 months, I trained my ass off. I lost a heap of weight. I designed a really good program, and it sold because it was real. It was me. It was what I went through. It was what everyone saw for the last 6 months.
Because basically, for the people at home that don't know, Mitchell documented with his personal trainer right the way through the process of not only developing his body but developing his mind.
Yep.
And I'll put the link in the show notes so people can go and get that if they want to understand what you've been through and that. But like you put together that whole program and documented the whole process, didn't you?
Yep. And yeah, it was more so to me. The reason I did it was because of the mindset manual. Like, I feel like, with training programs, great. You've got all that information there and, all you have to do is lift this, do this. But it's like, if you don't want to do that, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like you said, it's
quite simple. If your mind's not there and you don't want to do it, you might do it for 3 days, you might do it for 4 days, and you're going to fucking stop.
Yeah, because that is it. That is everything in the gym is predicated on mindset. Because when you think you get to 12 reps and it's hurting, you could probably get to 15, but it's just whether your mind tells you to drop the weight or not. You know what I mean? But let's forget about
your mind goes before your body every time.
Every time, and that's why it's it's the oldest living thing. Like, in terms of like prehistoric ages, the brain's the most prehistoric thing in your body. Like, you got to train that thing to be bulletproof. Before you train your body to be bulletproof. So many people are living this lifestyle where their body looks like a Greek Adonis, but inside they're shot to pieces and have no self-belief, no self-confidence, and it's something you've identified and then gone and put together your manual for doing it.
Well, that's why even like at the end of, the journey and the transformation and stuff like that, I didn't care as much about how I looked as how I felt. And I never thought I'd get to that point where, like, I thought if you showed me a photo of when I was overweight, if you showed me a photo of how I looked post-transformation, said this is what you're going to look like, I'd be like, that would be all I'd care about is how I look like that. But when I looked like that, all I care about was how I felt.
Yeah. And so like you say, it's so important to feel better than... Because the looks in the mirror will come on the back of you feeling good. You know what I mean? And so
your mind, right, and your body will follow. And it's just
everyone's
very
missing
bad.
it. Look, I mean, look what Joe did with Sam Mangan. Like, changed his mindset towards fitness and towards eating, and he dropped all that weight, and he looks phenomenal for it. You know what I mean? He deserves all of his success. But I think that all came to changing the way that he probably looked at the gym, probably looked at training, probably looked at eating. Looked at it a bit differently, changed his life. It's fantastic to see people go on that journey. I think that your manual and everything like that lays out the right foundations to be able to go and do that. So when are you planning on like launching this new clothing label and getting that off to the races?
That'll be probably 2021. There's no rush on that, and that's another thing that we try to do. We try to set realistic expectations on things. Like, if it's going to stress us and rush us, just put it on hold. There's no rush for anything. So at the moment, even we've been pretty busy, and we're like, it's fucking December. It's our first like festive season. My family's coming up. We've got Artie's first Christmas and stuff. Let's just chill out for this month now and just strip back a bit. So we're always cautious on setting. You got to set dates for things, and you got to
put goals in place.
But there's also at what
cost.
Exactly right. So that's what we're always sort of mindful of, that if it's creating stress, if it's creating this, if it's creating angst in the house, well, we don't need it.
So is your advice to people then, if it's creating stress and anxiety in your life, just fuck it off or put it on hold a bit? Put
it on hold or fuck it off. But nothing is worth compromising that side of you, I don't think, because it just it turns into a spiral of a downfall when you're like that. If you get to the point where every day you're feeling anxious and you don't want to do this, do that because it's making you stress and stuff like that, well, you're gonna take that with you into everything else you do during your day, and how is that going to benefit anything you do?
Yeah. No, I understand.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is my other thing is, I don't know if I have the answers, but this is just what works for us. So,
seeing your growth, and obviously the other people seeing your growth, I mean, you see it on a public platform. I'd say that whether you have the answers for everybody or not, It doesn't matter. You have the right answers for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And everyone's answers are different and there's nothing fucking wrong with that.
Exactly. And that's what my thing's like. That's why I'll talk about it, because it's like, if you want, try it. It might work for you, but if it doesn't, it might not either. Like I don't know, but I'm happy to talk about it because it did help me. Might not for you, and it might for you.
Well, you've put it into context in this podcast. You've just said, identify your triggers, be honest with yourself, put goals in place, and work on the mindset. Mm-hmm. There's your 4 stages to how you approach your change.
Yeah, and when you get to a hurdle, which is where I currently am, go see someone who knows the answers.
Yeah. And pay them right, because, and this is another thing that I really want to put into context with, because I bet you get this a lot. People reach out to you and say, hey, can you give me your program for free? I can't afford it. Or can you do this? The problem with that is this: if you don't pay or don't put a personal investment into what Mitch is trying to articulate to you, or what this psychologist is trying to articulate to you, you will not implement that.
Yeah, you've got no vested interest,
because you've put no investment into it. So, and we're not talking about big money here. We're talking $69 or whatever it is, or you can. Going to see a psychologist costs you like $100 or $200.
Yeah, I think mine's $160.
Yeah, exactly. Who isn't worth $160 to themselves? Like, are you crazy? Like, do you know what I mean? But people will go and spend $300.
I'd pay $160 for clarity every single day.
I know, but people will spend $300 on a bag of cocaine here, but they won't spend $160 on finding out why their mind's fucked up. You know what I mean? Or what?
Back when I used to party, I'd spend $1,000 a night on coke, but then I'd hate paying like $50 for something that was like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And it's all it was at that time is that your values weren't aligned.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? That's what it was.
It was what mattered to me.
Yeah.
I wanted money for what mattered to me, and at that time, cocaine mattered to me.
Yeah. But again, like you say, you've got to the advice that you can give to your son, and the advice that you can give to other people that you do influence, or whatever, however you want to put that, is now even more powerful because of the shit that you've been through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The shit that you've been through. When I came to Australia and came here with $6,000 and a bag of clothes and a pair of boxing gloves and boxing boots, and came here with nothing, and then spent all my money going back to see my sister for her wedding, because I just could not miss that day, but then came back here, couldn't get a job, and I was broke, and then I sat on the beach one day not even be able to feed myself, right? All those learnings and everything I learned about, okay, now you have to put away every week so that if you do have a lean week or a lean time, that you've got that money in place, and now you have to set these business processes up, because you need to manage yourself better, because I never want that to fucking happen again. But it allows me the audacity to be able to say to people, this is what happened to me. This is where I fucked up, and this is how it doesn't have to happen to you. Should you choose to listen to me? You know what I mean? And that's what you've got. You've got the platform to be able to do that at a big scale with issues that I find socially are going on more than ever. Like, if you look at where we live, and we live in the most beautiful place in the world, but it's a very dark, insidious place out there in the nightlife, in terms of like people are going through some terrible shit, or trying to get away from shit.
We've got some huge cultural problems here with drugs and alcohol in Australia, for sure.
What do you think? What do you give? What kudos do you give to causing that? Like, what causes it? Because I think it's massive here too. But like, what causes it? I don't personally do it, so I have no insight to that. What causes it?
I honestly don't even know why. But it's here, and I think the reason why it's here is because it's not addressed as a problem either. It's just normal. You know what I mean? Like, if it was here and like the whole of Australia spoke about, how bad the culture is here, well, then it would change. But it's here, but no one talks about it because it's normal. That's why it's here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very normalized. Like, pretty much, I meet you told me you'd never drank or you'd never done coke before.
Yeah.
That's stranger than meeting someone who drinks and does coke every day.
Yeah, I know. Every time people are like, well, how do you not do that? It's because I know who I am as a man. I know who I am. I know I don't need that. I know I can go to an event where all you boys could be doing drinking coke, and I wouldn't judge you for it.
Yeah.
I just say, okay, that's what they do. and I accept them for them, and this is one night, and we're going to all have a good time, and I'm going to go home, and I'm not going to do that because I know who I am, and I know I've got different goals to these people. But it doesn't mean I'm going to judge you for it.
Exactly.
Because here's the thing, nobody fucking knows what you're going through at any one time or what anyone else is going through. And you said this on the story on your Instagram the other day. I read it, right? That, you know, people have got to understand that you do not know at any one time what anyone else is going to. So if you just smile to them and be kind to them and be kind to other people, that shit can really change someone's life. It can stop them committing suicide.
100%.
How big, is mental health to you, and everything that's going on in regards to mental health at the moment?
I think it's something that you just really need to be aware of. That's like, I don't like to sugarcoat things and be like, you know, it's so important to, you know, do 10 things a day for your mental health. Wake up and meditate. Wake up and do this and stuff like that. Because I feel like you can actually put a lot of pressure on yourself to do so. Whereas I think what your mental health needs to be about is more so just awareness. Like, if I'm doing something, why am I doing it? Do I feel okay about this? And just ask that question to yourself more than you would about, like, why am I doing this? If it's not for the right reason, what should I do instead? That sort of thing's because I was constantly getting preached about, like, and I used to, like, you know, my partner always used to say how she had anxiety and all different stuff, and you hear about people talk about depression and stuff like that, and I used to think, because I wasn't medically diagnosed with saying I didn't have anything wrong with me. I said, I'm fine. I don't have depression. I don't have anxiety. But it's like I would have had bits and pieces here, but I just was never aware of it. But I reckon if I had have asked myself those questions when I was feeling ways and I was doing things and going, why am I doing this, or how do I feel right now, I would have been pretty aware of it, and I would have been able to make some pretty decent changes at the time.
It's almost worth sitting down with yourself and writing yourself a prerequisite set of questions when you're in a good place to ask yourself when you feel down. Yeah,
don't just ask them when you're down. Ask them when you feel up to. What are you doing that's made you, like, when you come home, you've had the best day ever. What did I do today? Why do I feel like this? Oh, I had a really stimulating conversation with someone, you know, that around this, and that's what makes me feel good there. You know, I got up this morning and I went for a walk, and I've actually eaten really good today, and I've had water, and then, holy shit, maybe this is why I'm feeling good. And just being aware. That's what I like. Awareness. Like, I keep saying that word awareness, but if you're aware of everything you're doing, you can start to piece together the puzzle as to why you feel the way you do, good or bad, and who you
fucking actually are, which is the most important thing. You know what I mean? Get that straight right now. Going through this journey that you've been through, like the people that you're aware, the people that you're surrounded with are so fucking important. Do you find that through the whole time since you started this until where you are right now, do you find you've had to genuinely, how do I put this, fuck some people off out of your life? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And was that, and have you had to, has it been a difficult process in identifying and doing that?
Yes and no. I think moving helped me a lot because I got to start semi-fresh.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped me to a degree, but you always have your temptations and your triggers with people and things, but it's just about discipline, you know, like even now, like I think now more so than ever, like I understand that discipline is as important as cutting out the triggers. Like you need to be able to surround yourself with it and around it to grow through it, and rather than just avoiding it, which is something I probably didn't do enough of. I just sort of cut it out of my life and didn't go near anything.
Yeah. I just want to segue into talking about your family, because obviously your family have also grown massively on social. I mean, your sister, your brother, your mum and your dad especially, and your mum and dad have hit the social scene at an age when, you know, and found like fame, so to speak, or notoriety at a time when, you know, they never knew nothing of social media when they were even 10 years ago, let alone, or 5 years ago, let alone anything 100%. Else. How are they dealing with it personally, and and what are they doing on the back of it all?
Well, my mum actually started her own company recently called Be Happy. It's a collagen blend that she makes, so that she's, you know, doing well. I guess someone at 54 or even older now. She might be 56, I reckon. At 56, starting an e-commerce brand and, learning the ropes at that age is pretty good. Good effort.
I just think it's great because, like, my mum's a lot older than your mum. She's like, my mum's actually approaching like 70, so it's crazy, isn't it, to think about because my sister's a lot older. But like, for a 56-year-old woman to get out, to get a Shopify store up, to get a little brand going, that's a hell of a learning curve. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. What about your dad? What's your dad doing with it?
Online, my dad is. My dad, brother, and me have a beverage company called Poetic Justice. So we do spritzers, white, red, wine, and mocktails.
Yeah.
So that keeps them both busy. But I think I can't really say too much about it, but my dad and brother have been working on something themselves, e-commerce wise.
Yeah, beautiful.
Which I think we'll see a bit more of maybe next year, which has been good for them both. And then, my sister is about to bring out her own label called by Hannah Orval or by HO.
Yeah, nice. I think that's great. And your sister's obviously being a lot younger, and I think she's going to kill the scene and just blow up, especially with a fashion label. Was it hard having a beverage company then and giving up alcohol as well? Like, or did that have any impact on it?
Not really. No, it was all not really.
No,
it's not. It was greater than that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the reason I wasn't into drugs and alcohol was because I had my own beverage company. That wasn't the reason I had the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it didn't even matter.
It was sort of irrelevant.
Are you for going forward in this next year, coming 2021? Do you see yourself, rather than doing like the influencer partnership deals, do you see yourself more like focusing on your own brands as a family and driving your own brands rather than influencer deals, or do you still see it kind of an influencer deal kind of environment?
That's how we've positioned ourselves, is to invest in ourselves rather than, build other people's brands.
Yeah.
If you get paid all this money to promote a product for X, clearly it works. You know what I mean? So why not put yourself into creating your own product so that when or if, things ever change, you've still got the foundation of your business and you can just pay the new up-and-coming influencers to promote it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And there's in this game, there's always someone young, new, fresh,
exactly,
up-and-coming, high-growth person that's kind of always going to take a little bit of that limelight away from you guys as a brand.
And by just relying on, say, influencer deals, like, it's a popularity contest. Like, your future is based on how popular you are. And that's pretty daunting to know.
When you're transacting in that kind of world, does it get a bit soul destroying?
Yeah, a bit. It also, like, it's very hard to make money become relative again.
Yeah.
You get paid X to do this, and then it's like you go put that into labour hours in anything else. And it's like we could never work a hard day again. So it's also hard like that.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got a new.
You got a new standard set for the way that you earn revenue and earn money, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think what information could you give to people on the podcast that would allow them to the kind of tools to go and obviously do that for themselves? To go and build this kind of like a little bit of a following, and then to leverage it in order to do these brand deals and stuff like that. Is it something genuinely that anybody could do, or do you?
I honestly don't have an answer for how to become followed or liked. Like, I didn't follow a rule guide. I didn't follow anything. It's like it just sort of happened.
Yeah,
for me,
and that's the best way.
I don't research it. I don't understand it. Like, I went viral uploading videos that gave me an online presence. People followed me, and then I went through all this shit, and now I'm just stuck to myself. And it's hard because it's like there's no real answer that for me what I did that made me liked or followed. It was like luck almost.
I knew that, and I wanted you to say that on here because there's so many people out there selling bullshit courses on how to become a influencer. I don't even like that word anyway. I just think you are Mitchell, and you resonate with that certain type of population, and that is Chloe, and she resonates with this type of person, rather than you are influencers, because then that puts you in this melting pot. Whereas it's totally different, because you can get this influencer over here that has 1 million followers, but even though you've got less followers, you get more engagement and more higher conversion rate based upon the fact that you've actually got a little bit better relationship with your audience. So following doesn't actually matter a fuck. It means fuck all. Yeah, it means fuck all in a lot of cases. The next question that I was going to ask you is like, in 2020 when you've building this house and you're starting this new life, do you think that you'll again assess things as like, okay, I've got all this more growth to do, and what kind of growth aspects do you reckon you'll put into place for that?
It's a good question. Can you say it again?
So like when obviously you've set yourself these massive audacious goals to build this house, and I have no doubt you're going to achieve it, and the brands are going to be popping, and 2021 is going to be good, and now you're going to be in this house, you've got all these things, and you've hit all these goals again. What's going to be the thing that's going to propel Mitchell forward in order to keep him on track and to keep him going where he's going? Is there anything else that you're thinking?
I think to me it's definitely going to be about finding balance. Yeah. And I know that's going to be a massive thing for me, is I know I'm going to but I know what's right for me is going to be reintroducing, alcohol and trying to have a relationship and a healthy balance with the social life. Because I lost a lot of my social life when I gave it up, which I was pretty clear on that. Like, you lose a lot of friends, you don't go to a lot of things. Like, I don't have much of a fun social life anymore, which I only had a social life back in the day. So notice I've done that pendulum swing again, where I've gone from all the time to never. So to me, I know it's going to be about finding that balance of in between, and I just know it's going to be a journey to get there, and I'm prepared for it.
Is there any other more outside help that you're going to be open to in the next 12 months that you're going to try and bring in or try and experience in order to help you keep going on these paths?
I'll certainly keep up the psych stuff. Talking to a psych, I think it's good, because although I'm not searching for answers, I'm searching for clarity, and I feel like she gives me that. Yeah. At least thinking out loud. I like to think out loud with her. So
yeah, and just being in a room and talking to someone for like 2 or 3 hours allows them to get real in depth with things that you probably couldn't.
And it's from a non-biased point of view too. They're not someone who knows you. They're not connected to you. They're not your partner. They're not your friend. They're not a family member. It's like they've got a complete unbiased opinion, and they just weigh in on it for you. And they're very educated. Yeah, and to have that perspective just dropped on you like that, it gives you so much more clarity in going forward. I love it. If there's any, if you could just give some pearls of wisdom and pearls of advice before we obviously leave the podcast and everything like that, to obviously impact as many lives as possible, what kind of advice and guidance would you give? If you could just give a few pieces. I'd personally, from someone who had no discipline in their days ever, I think discipline in your days is mandatory, because at the end of the day, if you are disciplined and you set yourself, I feel like you need to set certain tasks that aren't that easy every single day to complete to feel good about yourself. So I know with mine, I have to go for a run or do something on top of weights that is like I hate running. So that's why I run every day, because I hate it. Yeah. So that's that discipline of me finishing my run, knowing I don't like this, I don't want to do this. But when you finish it, you tick that off. I've done it. I didn't like it, but I got myself up to do it. So I feel like having discipline with things in your day that challenge you a bit, and you can feel good about yourself for doing it,
but aren't easy to complete,
is a really good sort of thing to keep you ticking along, and just to feel good about yourself. Because, I feel like we all want to feel good about ourselves, and whether it's look good, feel good, anything like that, but we don't really have the tools to do it without a lot of people using stimulants. I reckon that's why a lot of people do drugs and drink and stuff like that, to feel good.
Yeah, obviously I never drank alcohol, but through not drinking alcohol and through trying to be social, because like you just said, when you take yourself away from alcohol, whether you choose not to drink like myself or whether you stop drinking like yourself, you need something to kind of put you on the level of that. And I wasn't going to take drugs, so I used to take energy drinks.
Yeah.
And then one energy drink turns into 2 energy drinks, turns into 3, turns into 4. All of a sudden, now I'm doing 4 cans of Monster a day.
Yeah.
And I'm on like thousands of milligrams of caffeine, pre-workout in the morning as well, plus like a pre-workout if I do an afternoon session. And I might split up and do like weights in the morning, so boxing in the afternoon. And I'm just pumped. My adrenals were like pumping, man. When I had to give that shit up, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, man. And that was because, like you, and the reason why I understand you, I feel so well in terms of what you've been through, is the fact that me and you have both got a massively addictive personality. We are all or nothing with everything that we do, and that is fucking powerful if it's compounded in the right direction.
Just got to channel it.
You just got to channel it, yeah. That's it. And like I said to you, I know how hard it is to go into the social environment and just drink water. Do you know what I mean? Because you just like, people are coming at you and they're like, fucking yeah, Frankie boy, Frankie. And you've got to be up. Yeah. But like, it's hard to be up at 10 o'clock at night when you've got no stimulation in your body. Do you know what I mean? So I fully get it. And respect to you, man. Respect to you again for doing all that. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been fucking epic to get your story and to get your growth. Do you want to just drop your links to your brands and your socials so that people can follow you and follow your brand? Yeah, so my Instagram is at Mitchell Orval, and the new brand I was talking about is called at Self Care Culture. Yeah, and just drop your missus' links on there as well. My partner's activewear company is at ZEP, S-Z-E-P, and she's also got a mental health app with meditation and all that stuff called Bloom. BLOOM. Yeah, and it's great, and I'll put all the links in the show notes for you guys to obviously get that going, and yeah, man, thank you again for doing it, man. Thanks for having me.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee podcast.